If you're like a lot of people in this country, you've probably taken a look at your paycheck, looked at the gross pay, saw the net pay, and wondered, where did all my money go? In this video, you're going to learn how to create your own calculator in Microsoft Excel to calculate federal income tax withholding on your annual salary. Let's jump right in. I've already pre-filled a couple of categories on this sheet with salary, filing status, amount withheld, marginal tax rate, and effective tax rate. I've also created a brief resource tab. The two filing statuses that I have so far are married, filing jointly, and then head of household. For now, what we want to be able to do is we want a way to be able to calculate someone's annual federal income tax withholding. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to walk you through the formula to do that. And to do this, we're going to be using the Vlookup formula in order to create that. So let's start with $100,000. The next thing that's going to be important is the filing status. That is a huge variable to how our base income tax liability is determined. For now, we're just going to go with married, filing jointly. We're going to hop over here to this resource tab to start working on our formula. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a reference. We have our reference and it's on this page and it's our salary. So what we want to do is we want to first calculate our marginal tax rate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a cell here, marginal tax. And we're going to put that formula here. The formula that we're going to use, as previously mentioned, is Vlookup. So we're going to start with the equal sign. The equal starts all of our formulas. We're going to put Vlookup, open close parentheses. Inside of our parentheses, we're going to put 3 commas. And this helps us to be able to jump to each variable that we want. So we can put Vlookup. The value that we're looking up is going to be the salary. So sheet 1 B2. The table array that we're going to be looking up is this table here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. And this is just a matter of what I like to do. I like all of my tables to actually be tables, and I'll tell you why in a second. Now, the reason why I like this is because the tables have numbers. Table 2, table 3. And whenever I'm writing my formulas, they're very easy to reference. So if I go into my Vlookup and I want to look at which table array, I can just type in table 2, and it's going to highlight this entire table. Jump to column index, marginal tax is in column 2. So we're going to put the number 2. For a range lookup, this is either going to be a true or false. True means it can be up to that number but not over that number, and it's going to return you the result closest. If I put false, then it has to be an exact match. We just need it to be approximate, and let's change that to a percentage. Okay, so that's the first part. Now what we're looking at in this example is the marginal tax rate. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this same code here. So marginal tax. For the head of house, we're going to basically put the exact same formula that we did before. So Vlookup. And now we can see that this person is in the 24% tax bracket. So see the difference in filing status. But let's look at the actual impact of the tax. So for this, we're going to actually extend out our Vlookup. So the first thing that we're going to do, put our equal Vlookup, and we're going to reference sheet 1 B2. Okay, we're going to reference table 2, and now we want to look for the actual income value, and we want to look at how much money is that. Okay, so we're going to go column 1, 2, and 3. So at which bracket, and then what's that cumulative amount at that bracket? So it should return me $10,294 if I put 3. Okay. And let's put this as accounting, and let's do the same thing here. So now at $100,000, my cumulative is $10,294, but that's at $89,450. Now we need the difference between $100,000 and $89,450 multiplied by that 22% tax bracket. So to extend this out, we're going to say plus, do our reference. So let's do open parentheses, okay? And we're going to go to our reference here, and then we're going to say minus, okay? So now we're taking that $100,000, and then we have to subtract that. So we're going to do Vlookup. We're going to do our reference again. This time I'm just going to type it out because I know where we're referencing. Sheet 1, B2. Okay. So now we're referencing that. Again, we're on table 2, right? And now what we want to do is we want to look up the actual value. So that $100,000 needs to subtract this $89,450. So we're going to reference cell 1. Okay. And then we're going to put this as true. Okay. So now that we have that, we need to close this in parentheses. Okay. So we have the first thing is subtracting $89,450 from 100,000. And the next thing we need to do is we need to multiply that by the actual tax rate. So now we're going to do an open parentheses, Vlookup, and we're going to do our reference again, sheet 1, B2, table 2, and now because we're doing the actual tax rate, we want column 2 because that's where our tax rate is located. Okay, so we're going to multiply that difference by that 22% tax rate, and then we're going to put true because it just needs to be approximate, and then we're going to close that, and now we have the actual tax withheld. So same thing, Vlookup. All right, so there we have it. So head of household will end up paying a little bit more in taxes than being married and filing jointly. Let's bring that into our calculator. The formula here is going to be equals if, okay, so I like to have my entire argument. So the logical test is if this cell equals married joint, then what we're going to do is we're going to return this value. If it's false, then if, again, comma, comma, the logical test. So if it's false, what we're going to do is then do if this cell equals head of house, the value, if it's true, resource is going to be this number. If that's false, then we're just going to say select marital status. So what we're doing is we're creating an if statement that's going to say, now what we've done is we created an if statement inside of an if statement, and we can keep running that until we have all of our options available. So if the filing status is married filing jointly, then I want to return the value from the table that's associated with married filing jointly. If that is false, so that's this, if the value is false, then what I want to do is look for, well, if it's not that, then maybe it's head of house. So if filing status is head of house, then I want to return the value, if true, that's associated with head of house. If it's not either of those, then we're going to say select marital status because we're going to pretend that those are the only values that we have. So now we're going to change this. Now we see that that changes to select marital status. Head of house, we got a number. Married filing jointly, we got a number. Marginal tax rate, same thing. we're gonna basically say equals if all right, perfect. So now that formula is in, we have the marginal tax rate. And finally, we're going to say equals amount withheld divided by the actual tax rate. And this gives us our effective tax rate. So even though our marginal tax rate is 22%, our effective tax rate is 13%. Based off of our salary of $100,000. Now, there are other withholdings that come out of your paycheck besides federal income tax. That will have to be taken into account. So this is only calculating federal income tax. If you found value in this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below what you value most about this and any tips and tricks that you may have for calculating federal income tax withholding. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you're notified anytime I post new videos. This has been Alter Altitudes, and remember, the only limits you have are the ones that you put on yourself.